We do like to actually appreciate this. Is always a great group. So I'll just go ahead and get started here, trying to keep us on time. Big shocker here is that I'm just going to start with food. First of all, never trust a skinny guy on food recommendations. So all of my food stuff I did here, you can take as I have personal knowledge of some of the food things here. Why in the world am I starting off with a hamburger? Scott, if you look at the list of restaurants we kind of had in that first round there, there's kind of a theme going on in Town of Sun Prairie, and a lot of it has to do with food. But not just food. There's a bigger message that I think that this has to say. With a lot of folks I've been talking about, and I think the folks here at Orange Leaf are a great example of this, is we kind of have been talking to different folks about why should I come to Sun Prairie. When I first came here 15 years ago, I'm still a rookie, still a youngster here, for I've only been here 15 years, so I kind of had got the rumor for this. Somebody got a bad rap. Man, these people they're kind of cheap, they're a little tight. It's a tough town to do business in. Oh, okay. So I bought it, sure. The longer I came under here, I realized that's not true. It's not true at all. And I think some of the investments that have been made kind of demonstrate that that's not true. And what's really going on is, you see that hamburger there, you can charge $100 for that hamburger here in Sun Prairie. $100? If it's actually worth $100. You better be able to show that that hamburger is, the value of that hamburger is $100. I don't know if that's Aaron Rodgers coming over and serving it to your table, or how do you get to $100? I don't know. That's the conversation. But people are very value conscious here in Sun Prairie. But if you meet that and you provide what you say you're going to, and it matches your price, you're going to do really well here in Sun Prairie. And I think that's a message that we're seeing, and we'll kind of hear that over and over and over again with some of the other things going on. Anybody going hunting this weekend? I take credit for the plummet in temperatures because I haven't gone in like 5 years, and this is like literally the day I decided I'm going this weekend, the forecast comes out. So I'm enough of a rookie that I haven't been hunting enough. So I'm the guy that stick on the end, and because they know I get cold faster than anybody, and I'm kind of a wimp, so they make me walk the rest of the woods so I can stay warm, which is actually kind of nice. Obviously, this is up here not in terms of just deer hunting, but obviously in terms of Cabela's. Why is that such a big deal? And we just kind of wanted to give an example on why that is a big deal for Sun Prairie. Certainly, it is the trade. It's going to expand Sun Prairie's trade area even farther than Costco has done. We're looking at probably 2 to 2.5 hours north and south of Sun Prairie, and then even a little bit further east and west. There's a lot of folks going to be coming to this area because of this store, and not only because of this store, but because of all the stores around it. Because now they can actually do more than one thing when they come down to here. Just a point of reference, and as Scott has mentioned, we've invested a lot of time and energy in Marcus Theaters, and we're excited about them, and we're excited about a lot of the other guys who've been coming in. And I want to point out, these guys made the Wall Street Journal when they made their announcement. So, as far as I can tell, I kind of watch it. Some Prairie doesn't pop up in the Wall Street Journal very often for some reason. I can't believe it. But we sure did when this announcement happened. So it just kind of gives a little bit of an outside perspective on the caliber of that retailer and the impact that they have. And that's a big deal for this whole area. So we're excited about that one. I was going to come in full camo today, but then Aaron kind of told me that wouldn't be a good idea. So he said he prefers the suit and tie. So I was like, okay, that's good. I can do that. Kind of a fun example. Have you been to Salvatore's Sweet Pies here in Sun Prairie? So anybody who haven't, raise their hand. You need to go check them out. Reason being, a little poll run by the Capital Times just here on November 15th asked people in the capital what was the best slice of pizza in Madison. And guess what? The Sun Prairie restaurant won. So that's a big deal, folks. That's a huge deal, and that's a great feather in not only the restaurant's cap, but I think it does also say how many people from Madison are now coming to Sun Prairie. We've been so long, I think, in our history in terms of that pattern being, okay, everybody lives here, we like living here, but we go into Madison to do everything we want, dine, eat, shop, all that stuff. This is a huge indicator of how that's turning around, and that's starting to come back the other way a lot of ways. So certainly congratulations to Pat on that little word. This is fig and bacon pizza. I don't know, Sun Prairie kind of strikes me as a cheese and pepperoni kind of town. But this is the one also that won in Slice of Sun Prairie here a year or so ago. This was, one of our esteemed judges here sitting at the table over here. He's kind of like everybody else. They put the pizza in front of him and it was kind of like. But all three, I think every judge actually ended up picking that slice. So again, a neat story. I think a little bit that is an example of some of some of the trends that are happening in Sun Prairie. This is a great example. Today's paper, this morning, getting ready to finalize my slides. Man, there's another story I got to put in there. This is a picture of Brews Brothers Pub. First one's up by Wausau, I think, out in West End, I think, up north. They're opening a place in Verona. I think they've got a place on the west side. An interesting quote that was in that article that said specifically, and I'll read it for folks who can't maybe read about it, it says, we're trying to target upscale communities. So we're specifically looking at sites in Wanakee and Sun Prairie. Now, everybody who's been here long enough is one of the big battles we've won. David, he knows where I'm going to go with this. So we always hear this east side versus west side discussion. In terms of shopping, where the quality at, where the income at. That's perception is starting to change. That's, and I think the income and demographics are at a point now where that is not as big a deal as it maybe it used to be. I think it's more perception than reality now. And guys who are coming in from an outside place, these guys up north looking at the numbers for what they are, they're starting to appreciate Sun Prairie's marketplace. Certainly from all the other investments going on and seeing who else is here. That's a big deal to have another developer, another store who can say that about our community. So to be put in that context, again, another great sign, I think. All right, how many people in this room are on LinkedIn? How many people actually check their account more than a couple times a week? I never got down quite a bit. How many of you have absolutely no interest and will have no plans on ever getting on that darn thing at all on the web? Anybody? Well, that's good. Because the story I'm going to tell you is this is Imperial Blades is a company that's out that just moved into our business park here this last year. They acquired an existing building and moved in. The first way we found out about them is that I had noticed that someone from that company looked at my profile on LinkedIn. Of course, at this time, I don't have a budget. I haven't paid for the subscription version. So it just says, someone from this company looked at your profile. I don't know who it is. So I go to the web, I find the CEO, send him an email saying, hey, notice someone from your company was looking at me. If there's any questions I can answer about Sun Prairie, let me know. Phone rings 10 minutes later. They're like, wow, that was really great. We appreciate that. You guys are really on top of things. Yeah, actually, we're interested in Sun Prairie. So the next several months, we worked with them, helped them evaluate the site, and they kind of disappeared for a while. And I called them up and said, hey, how's things going? I said, oh, well, sorry, we closed and moved in last week. So there's a story there. In terms of how often I have to come to Aaron and City Council. You guys are asking for money. We got to figure out if we can provide an incentive or not to help them out with certain costs. Not so with these guys. We had several conversations with them. They were asking for utility information from Rick and his guys and more property information regarding the building, and we just kind of kept in communication with them. And just by being a partner, they liked and they pulled the trigger and they made the investment in Sun Prairie. Man, that's our kind of company. This is fantastic. So again, a great story, but a little mixed marketing people just go, you didn't control anything if they did it. Well, no, but we didn't cause them to not make the investment, which is just as important sometimes too. But a little bit of a changing sign of the times and how we need to be mindful of how we might be connecting to people. Yes, ma'am. They make it's reciprocating blades. Those you see there are actually, if you attach them with, they're either like a jigsaw blade or a vibrating motorized blade for different things. They're very nice. They're actually a great product, very high quality. And yeah, so watch for them in the hardware store. You'll see them. Now that I mentioned them, you'll see them. So we have a great list of things going on. It's one of the things I'm probably most excited about is some of the growth of some of our technology-based companies here in Sun Prairie. This is kind of where, I guess, rubber hits the road in terms of economic development as far as I'm concerned. Informed product development. How many people have heard of them? Not bad, not bad. It's a little less than half. if you haven't heard of them, you should. They have been acknowledged 2 years in a row by Inc. magazine, kind of an entrepreneur-based magazine, as one of the fastest growing revenue companies in the United States. They do product development, prototyping, everything from baby seats to military hardware. It's astonishing their diversity of things that they'll do and the products that they will test and develop. Great little company. Matrix Product Development, picture in the lower left there. That picture is, they actually donated components to Madison College, and they actually worked with one of their technology programs and actually built a drone with cameras on it. So they had 5 helicopter blades, they fired this thing up, they flew it around Madison, and actually went through all that, actually they were able to design and build this darn thing. So very involved in the electronic controls and things that they do there. Thermal spray technologies continues to be a huge partner with University of Wisconsin, which we see as a huge plus, not only for obviously for them, but for our community. Some kind of more commercializing technology and turning those things that they research at the university into actual business opportunities and employment opportunities for us here at Sun Prairie. There's huge opportunities there. Thermal spray is, to give you guys an example of what they do, if you don't know, they will take an aluminum part from, say, Harley Davidson. Harley will send a truckload of them over to the plant here in Sun Prairie. Their specs call for that part to be a copper part, to act like a copper part, how it wears and how it rubs and interacts with other components. To make it entirely out of copper, pretty expensive. So what they do is they make it out of aluminum, they send it to thermal spray. Thermal spray superheats copper to basically the surface of the sun type of temperature, plasma, shoots at 6 times the speed of sound, about that far, onto the aluminum component and coats it with 3 microns of copper. So when it comes out, it looks like a copper part. It acts like a copper part in terms of how it wears, but they save all the money because they didn't have to make the entire thing out of copper. So pretty neat technology, pretty fascinating to watch. Again, a great company. All things that are developed right out of the university and have been kind of commercialized here in their facility here in Sun Prairie. The lower right, 2G Engineering, kind of a neat little company. They're about six employees right now. They do, first kind of spoke to them. They were another LinkedIn contact, by the way. Went out and toured their facility and, so what do you guys do here? So, well, we make actuators. I'm not an engineer. Okay, guys, you got to help me out. What's an actuator? Well, if you have a pair of calipers that will measure how wide something is, we make the motor that opens and closes that measuring caliper. Okay, that's kind of cool. Not really, but kind of cool. They said, well, the difference with ours is ours needs to work at 10,000 feet below the surface of the ocean. Okay, now you got my attention. Their client that they do these for are for oil platforms in the Gulf of Mexico. And part of their federal contract requires them to send a submersible down their mooring chain and continually measure the diameter of that chain to make sure it's not corroded for safety purposes. So these guys had to not only make that device to be able to do that, they had to show the federal government that they would operate at 10,000 feet below the surface of the ocean. So they had to build their own pressure chamber to show that the motor would still work underwater at that depth. It's fascinating. The other thing that they're working on right now is, has anybody seen the little pads you can charge your cell phone on without plugging it in? Yeah. You just set it right on there. They're going to make one of those for your electric car. Wow. So you don't have to plug in your electric car. You can actually just pull in the install. They're actually testing that for Argonne National Labs down in Chicago right now. And they're right here in Sun Prairie. So I said, guys, no offense. What are you doing here? Glad you're here, but what are you doing here? A story we've heard over and over and over again. So we were down in Florida, we got this business started down there, worked down there, we had our first baby. We wanted to come back and be close to our grandparents, not only for child care issues, but just to be back in the area for family reasons. Guys, this is a story I hear over and over and over again. Things that shouldn't probably normally happen by every normal economic development rule happen here because people's families are back here. I don't know how we market that, but that's certainly something we need to be mindful of as we make decisions and how we plan the community moving forward. So, they are currently located just south of St. Mary's in that little industrial park, kind of south of St. Mary's. So hopefully actually working with them on an expansion. These are again just kind of some of the companies that we're really excited about and are doing some really great things and have great expansion potential. Yeah, so why in the world is QBE down there? They're an insurance company. Oh. So why in the world is QBE on that list? Well, because they got a lot of computer programmers and operators who work there. Maybe a majority of their operations there are all basically how to operate their own financial systems. Anybody have a guess what this number is? Somebody have a guess. Anybody?
New area code.
New area code? No. Not yet. Any brokers, realtors in the room? You guys might want to know what this number is. That's how many vacant industrial and warehousing square feet have been taken off the market within the last year.
Wow.
That's amazing. Any community within the United States, in this hemisphere, would be thrilled with that number. That's Wisconsin Cheeseman. It's famous footwear, that's LA Darling, and that's the old Verizon warehouse on Highway 19. All of those are occupied and under lease in 1 year. Scott made the note on kind of how we think that trend is coming back up. That's not a trend, that's a launch through the roof. That's astonishing, to the point where we're actually having conversations with, Doug is here from Keller Builders, we're talking with his guys about building some speculative industrial space in Business Park. We haven't had that conversation in 5 years. So again, that's a huge positive sign for the community. Scott mentioned the ice arena. I'm not going to get into too much details on that, other than to say at a regional meeting here with the Madison Area Sports Commission, they're already marketing this site as what they refer to as a national site for hockey. They think the potential. Matter of fact, the day of the ribbon cutting, this is there any chance they put another 2 sheets up? Guys, let's start with 2 first. We're going to pay for 2, then we'll talk about it. Bring us a check. You guys want to pay for it, we'll build it. But this is definitely getting us on the radar for not only the whole Madison area, but probably throughout the entire Midwest. When they actually get up, they start having tournaments and other things here. The other thing is an interesting spin that these guys are doing different than other facilities, and I think it's going to make them hugely successful, is they have a very targeted focus on figure skating. Most, from what I understand, and the marketing that they have done, is that figure skaters are usually at the mercy of hockey teams. So who are coming in to practice and spend, they take up all the prime time. But then the figure skaters get, the 11 to midnight or the 5 to 6 a.m. or, so they don't get that. But they can, ice time is ice time in terms of, revenue projection. So I think they've made a very, a deliberate effort to say, we will guarantee you guys time in those prime slots for your figure skating programs. And I think that's going to make a huge difference in the types of people, the number of people who come here. Just a note on that, we have actually had multiple conversations on certainly the ice arena, obviously the Prairie Flight Club expansion. The YMCA is actually looking at least having a preliminary conversation on how they might expand in Sun Prairie. We've also been contacted by at least 3 other groups looking at putting up some sort of indoor sports facility within the Sun Prairie area. Whether that's soccer, lacrosse, baseball, we've had multiple sports introduced. But this is not a trend that is going to go away. This is something they see the demand is here, not only in Sun Prairie, but in the region. Look for at least 1 more facility to come up. There's our West Side resume. In terms of investment and stores who have come in over the last several years, not a bad list. Fun to show that slide to somebody who says, oh, tell me why I should come to the West Side. Get in line, folks. There's a lot of people coming to this area of town, and they're coming with their hands on their wallet, ready to spend money. That's our number 1 answer when they ask us, well, tell me why I should locate in Sun Prairie instead of going to East Town Mall. I don't know if anybody who walks over there in the wintertime at East Town Mall, but I say, if you want walkers in the winter, or walking laps and teenagers without a lot of discretionary income, go locate over at the mall. So you want people coming to town with a hand on their wallet, shopping list in their hand, you need to be in Sun Prairie. When you look at those folks here, they're coming there because they've got something they need to buy. So they are coming with the intention of spending money. So I think a good sign for what we're looking at. I won't talk too much about the West Side commercial growth. Scott covered that pretty well. What I do want to talk about is, again, kind of looking at what we're considering for downtown and even really for Main Street a little bit, is we're seeing increased data nationally, as well as indications here locally, certainly in the Madison area, about the impact of millennials, Gen Yers, on what their expectations are going to be for development in the future. And one of the number 1 things that we hear over and over and over again, they say 80%, I think was the number they cited from this one study here, they want to have a cool place to live and work. It's a huge deal for them. It comes with whatever quality of life aspect that comes in. Talk about internet access, talking about having places to go and socialize afterwards, having public spaces, kind of like Henry Square, to hang out in and have a sense of place. that they can belong to. It's, it's amazing how, why does that matter to us? Well, number one, if we look at our target list of sectors that I've showed this room before, we talk about hiring more technology employees. There's a reason that Judy over at Epic is doing all the crazy things she's doing in terms of those buildings and stuff over there. She's creating an environment that helps attract and retain those employees. So we need to be mindful of that as we move through and we do our planning, not only for how other else we might do beyond Main Street and downtown. It'd be great to get more folks like Continental Mapping and other guys to build there. It'd be fantastic. We think it's a great opportunity there as we continue to redevelop downtown. It's a huge opportunity. We can't just focus there. Let's take a look at Main Street as well. What are some opportunities there as we continue to redevelop? Maybe there is some more employment-based opportunities. Scott talked about many of these the downtown items here. One of the things that certainly working with Aaron, our city administrator, Aaron Oppenheimer. Has everybody met Aaron, by the way? If you don't know Aaron, wave. Aaron, there you go. It's the boss. There we go. I got my shameless promotion for the boss. One of the things that Aaron has been very adamant on discussing and repeatedly tells us inside City Hall and tells our department is, guys, it's about the story, it's about message. We got to be able to tell our story better. This morning, I Googled Sun Prairie. We've had this conversation about branding and where do we go and what do we do. How do we do a better job of that? Because essentially, if we do nothing, we still have a brand. There's still a story being told about Sun Prairie. Google is telling the story about Cabela's being announced, QBE laying off people. A couple of things our boys in blue had to work on here the last several weeks. Okay, not stellar, not a great review, but not bad per se. But what are we doing to help tailor that message? I had a quick conversation with Phil Fry from the school district before the meeting here. We got to do a better job of marketing the high school and tell them what a great facility it is. We just got to be better at it. So how do we start affecting things like when people do a Google search on Sun Prairie? What are they seeing? What's the message they're getting? How do we make sure they're seeing that we're putting our best forward? I'm not talking about hiding the awful stuff that's been happening that our PDs had to deal with the last couple of months. And that's been some pretty terrible stuff. But you know what? We need to focus on how well our department responded. We need to focus on how well and how safe this community really is and look at the overall statistics for the numbers. Those are the things we need to be putting that message back out there. So when they just hit this first Google list, they're like, somebody might not be really excited about that. But if we do a better job of making sure that conversation is getting past that little headline, we need to be able in position to do that. A couple things on the radar. Obviously, we're not assuming this is not. It's been a good year, but not. There's certainly been some issues. We've had fun for Aaron. His first year as administrator, had a really great time in terms of getting about our budget and the fire department discussions. It's been an interesting political year for us. It's been a lot of issues going on that I think our council's been very proactive, trying to deal with things and get things done. But it's been a tough issues that we need to take time and they need to get through the process. But they have to start talking about what that perception is outside the city. They may not see all this is everything go meetings. What are you guys doing with your fire department? Guys, we're 30,000 person people. We're having a conversation on how we meet that need moving forward. That's what we're doing. It's not civil war in Sun Prairie. It's not civil war. It's a very passionate discussion. It's with a lot of history in our community. We're trying to move forward and the idea is how do we get the community, people to understand that this is a conversation we have to have. And we need to figure out where we're going to go from here. That's what's going on. Certainly, we did lose Thermo Fisher in the business park. We did, QBE did announce a round of layoffs of about 59 people. They actually consolidated some of their IT activities into a private consultant, which they're down to about like 785 people, but still our largest employer. Certainly trying to make sure we communicate with them. St. Mary's still making plans on their development in TIF 9. With the changes in healthcare, changes in the economy, there's a lot of moving pieces for them right now, in terms of where they will end up going with their service level. My guess is, if I'm a betting man, we're probably going to see some more outpatient facilities associated with that. Folks you're not aware, Dean and St. Mary's both merged under SSM Healthcare, so they are both now the same entity officially now. So that obviously changed some of their plans and what they might be looking at. So again, other things going on. Just general concerns of, hiring employees. How to make sure folks have their foot. Stacy's here for expressing professionals. What she does is what she's here for. But that's always, for all of our employers, it's always an issue. How do we make sure we're putting our best foot forward and meeting that issue? Growing housing demand, growing student population, elementary school, high school, it's all that's on the radar screen. What are we looking at down the road here? And obviously increased vacancy on Main Street is a huge target on here. I don't want anybody to leave here with the impression that the city has not done anything on Main Street. I want to be clear on that. We actually have tried to position ourselves as best we can in a lot of different ways. Namely, certainly all the infrastructure improvements we've made to that whole corridor. We have a plan that actually identifies what sort of buildings and uses we can have in there. Scott and his staff did a great job on that. We have a TIF 10 in place to help provide financial assistance to someone who brings a project forward on that area. We have a zoning overlay district that actually, if you meet certain design criteria, there's no plan commission meeting and no council review. Staff can approve the project without going through the meeting process. So a much faster, much shorter review process to do that. It's also qualified as a new market tax credits area. For folks who don't know what that is simply a federal program that allows a borrower, bank, a lending institution essentially to borrow money at a much more affordable rate and provide some additional incentives to them to loan to that particular project. So, last slide here. I'm going to go back to my hamburger in the very beginning. Kind of talk about the value argument here. I'm guessing I could pretty much pull almost anybody in this room here and ask you to name the principal in each one of these photographs, and odds are most of you can probably get at least 5 out of 6, if not all 6. Pat and Kathy from Cannery Wine and Spirits in the top left. Tom Anderson and Chris Franks from Buckman Honeys. Pat DeCola from Salvatore Tomato Pies. Bruce Sprague and our esteemed pie judge here up on the upper corner. Dan Kelly's from Eddie's, and Jeff Gallagher from Means and Cream Coffee House. Every one of those places on there, guys, are successful in this community because they got a good product, because they got a nice place that they do business, and they are there in the business all the time. People go, and I know I'm going to Means and Cream. I know odds are Jeff's in the room. I'm going to see Jeff in there working back there, and he's going to say hi. Every one of these places I go to Salvatore's and see Pat throwing pizza. They are part of the experience that you're buying when you go there. And I think they're great examples of how you can be successful here in Sun Prairie. And again, that's a part of the message we want to keep pounding to everybody and tell them, guys, this is what you got to do to be successful here. Be invested, be part of your business, be out there, and you're going to do it. You're going to be great. With that, thank everybody for